I used to believe that the biggest barrier to wealth creation was people not having money. That's what I used to believe until I realized that there's actually something far worse. That is, for every one person who didn't have money to invest, there are two who are sitting on a pile of cash. I know this, and this actually surprised me because I keep getting these DMs of people telling me, I have such and such amount of money and I don't know what to invest in. I don't know. Can you tell me what to invest in? And then if you're in that category, just type in the comment section right now. Okay, so you are sitting on some cash and you do not know where to invest it. Just type in the comment section, pile of cash. And those of you watching on YouTube, type in the comment section, pile of cash. So you may be sitting on $500, $5,000, or even $50,000. Or if you're talking in Naira, you may have 50K, 100K, 500K, 1 million, or even someone told me that he had 20 million. This guy was sitting on 20 million and he was asking me, what do you invest? What should I invest in? So it's a far worse situation than not having money. Because if you have money and you're not investing, you're not better than the people who don't have money to invest. I think it's something worth typing. Put it in the comment section. If you have money and you're not investing, in the long run, you are not better than the people who don't even have money to talk about investing. Do you know why? Because inflation is chewing up, is eating up that your savings. Inflation is eating into your future. So are you the person asking, where should I invest? In fact, it's a very, very important question. And I'm going to help you break it down tonight so that by the time you're leaving tonight's coaching session, you will have a practical action plan. Somebody say practical action plan. Okay, so every day you see people online making money from stocks, making money from real estate, making money from Forex, making money from crypto. But every time you try to do that, you either lose that money or you get paralyzed by fear. If it is you, say, that's me. Say, that's me. Every day you watch people, you hear stories, you watch videos of people making money online, making money in different ways, people sharing their stories. Like one amazing story I heard last week. Someone bought 1 million shares of UBA at 8 Naira just 2 years ago. This year, UBA has gone to has appreciated to as much as 37 Naira 50 kobo. So in 2 years, 8 million turned into 37.5 million. So you hear stories like that and it's like, it's always happening to others. Why me? So why not me? When you try, then you lose that money, or out of fear, you don't invest that money. But what if I told you that there is a simple 3-step strategy that can help to liquidate that question so that you know exactly where to put your money, whether you are living in Lagos or in London or in Los Angeles. So you've got to stick around for the next couple of minutes and I'm going to break it down for you clearly so that you can leave this session with an action plan. Because it's not just in hearing this, all right? For those of you listening on YouTube, it's not just you're hearing this. At the end of it, my gratification is when you take action, is when you act on it. And do you know why you have to do it? Because the richest people on earth, they don't just earn money. Let me say something that will shock you. You do not become rich by earning money. Please type it. Everybody, take a moment right now and type it. You do not become rich by earning money. Do you know how you become rich? You become rich by putting your money to work for you while you sleep. That's how to become wealthy. Most people who are broke in their 40s and 50s and even 60s, they all worked. They earned money. And literally, all of you listening to me earn money. You earn money. You either earn money in your business or you're earning money in your work, earning money freelancing and doing all kinds of things. But that's not how you become rich. You become rich by putting your money to work. So, if your money isn't moving, you're falling behind. You're falling behind. So type it. If my money isn't moving, I am falling behind. Type it, every one of you. See, when I tell you as a coach, there's a reason that a coach would always ask you to reflect or to echo or to type or to say back to yourself what he's saying. So those are really pivotal. Make sure you type it. Make sure you say it to yourself. Okay? So if your money is not moving, you are falling behind. So tell yourself, if my money is not moving, I am falling behind. And if somebody is sitting near you and both of you are listening to me, I want you to turn to each other and say, if your money is not moving, you are falling behind. If you and your husband are watching, turn to one another and say, my husband, if your money is not moving, we are falling behind. This is why this conversation is so very, very important. So now, what is the problem? There are actually three major problems why people are not able to move forward. Why people are paralyzed by that question, where do I invest my money? There are three problems, three root problems, and then we are going to talk about them and tackle them. The number one problem why people struggle with where to put their money is analysis paralysis. Type it. Everyone on YouTube, type it. Analysis paralysis. Type it. That's the first problem. Why people struggle with where to put their money. Do you know why? Because there are too many options. In fact, growing up, if I remember like in the 1980s or even in the 1990s, we didn't have this many options. You know, when even in the early 2000s, Forex started becoming very popular, okay, with the internet coming. For instance, in Nigeria, we literally started having, internet was not even a thing until Obasanjo's government in 1999. Before this time, most people who had access to internet like we did were working with big organizations like I was working with Shell. So we saw internet, we saw email before tens of millions of people even knew what email or what internet was. And then in those days, you know, to connect to the internet, you were using modem. I don't know how many of you were born or you were old enough at that time to remember. It was very difficult. So people didn't really know much. People just knew about maybe stock market. Nobody really knew about the Forex market. Maybe people who worked in the banks. You know, but the ordinary guy on the street didn't know. But today, you hear about stocks, you hear about ETFs, you hear about mutual funds, you hear about bonds, you hear about crypto, you hear about all kinds of things. And then these names can be very confusing. Somebody comes with Binance, another person comes with, okay, Cowrie. Very, very confusing. So analysis paralysis, too many options. And then there is no clear path. Because see, when there are too many options, a lot of people are confused. Should I do real estate? Okay. Should I mix real estate with Forex? Should I totally run away from Forex and do crypto and no clear path? That is number one reason why people don't invest their money. They just keep it and then the inflation eats it up. Now, the other thing is the fear of losing their money. We are talking about analysis paralysis. So a lot of people are afraid of losing their money. And then sometimes the fear is not unfounded because all around us, especially for many of you listening in Nigeria. So I know there are so many countries here, US, UK, Guinea, where are all these places that people say that they're watching from? So many places, Zambia, South Africa, all here. And there's some element of what I'm saying, what happens in Nigeria, in all these countries. You know what? Nearly everywhere I have gone to speak, I've been invited to speak, different platforms. And then one of the fun exercises I do, I ask people in the audience, If you have been scammed, if you have lost money before to a scam or to some fraud, raise your hand. Ladies and gentlemen, everywhere I have gone, every adult who has ever handled money, maybe from 18 years old, raises their hands. It's an epidemic. It's serious. So because of it, people are afraid and people have lost money. Someone like me, I've been a victim. I lost a lot. Thousands of dollars to Nospetco, to Wealth Zone, and all those scams. So because of it, like in my place, they say that when you're stung by a bee, when you see is it Drosophila? It's a fly, Drosophila, something, it's a fly, that when you see that type of fly, you become afraid. And so that's what happens. When you have lost money in this investment scam, you become naturally afraid to put your money into any other investments. You don't want to do anything with it. See, but the problem, and type this, every single is required. Everybody type this. Scared money never grows. That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma. Scared money never grows. So keeping that money in and wrapping it up in a cellophane bag and then putting under your bed, it's not going to cut it. Scared money never grows. Everyone type it. Scared money never grows. And I really want that to sink in. Second problem that people have when it comes to where do we put our money, where do I invest, is bad advice and scams. I've already mentioned scams, especially in Nigeria. Why do I say especially in Nigeria? Because for the US and UK markets, those markets are very well regulated. They are very, very regulated markets. But Nigeria faces more frauds. The US is very highly regulated when it comes to money. They don't play with money things and financial crimes. I don't know how many of you remember Madoff, who kind of engineered what was considered the largest Ponzi scheme in history. They got Madoff. The thing collapsed in 2008 or something. They got him. And then he was sentenced to 150 years in prison. The United States doesn't play when it comes to their money. It doesn't play. And if you are a US citizen and you're listening to me, you know that you can't escape. You can't cheat America. You can't cheat United States in taxes or anything. Even if you're American citizen living outside, you're still filing your tax returns. So financial crimes are taken seriously. They are regulated. But I tell you that if Madoff was Nigerian, that man will still be walking around free. Unfortunately, he died in prison in 2021 at about 82 years or something like that. But if he was Nigerian, he would go free. With that money, he will still be walking around, dishing it. So, because of bad advice and then scam, people are very, very hesitant. And then there are also these fake investment gurus all over the place. They are all over TikTok, all over Facebook, all over the place, giving very, very, just funny investment advice. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Now, the third challenge is lack of access. Like talking about Nigeria versus the US and then the UK market, So, in the United States, there's easy access to apps and to investments very easily. I have a US bank account, and then from my bank, very easily, I can invest in stocks or anything very, very easily, with my US bank account. But in Nigeria, is difficult, In US, there are apps like Robinhood, Fidelity, ETFs, and all that. But in Nigeria, the platforms are actually limited, especially if you want to access the international markets. And then where it's not limited is very expensive. The platforms have, the transaction charges can be very, very challenging. And then there's also the Naira volatility. So these are the three major challenges. So how do you cut through the noise? and invest wisely and profitably. How do you cut through the noise, no matter where you live? So here are 3-step systems. That's what I've implemented myself, because what has actually saved me, I've made so many money mistakes, but what has saved me each time were my investments. The investments I made. There were times that I would be like zero, total zero, but investments will come to the rescue. So I'm going to share with you a 3-step solution on how to decide where to invest your money, where to put your money. And it is a perfect juncture to tell you about the Financial Fitness Challenge. Because you see, when we have this time together, it's never really enough to delve into these topics in detail. And not just delving into them in details, I can't even answer your questions, in these sessions, because the platform doesn't allow that sort of interaction. Now, but during the Financial Fitness Challenge, you not only hear these things in detail, taught, but you're also guided to implement it. For those of you who have attended the Financial Fitness Challenge, you know that it's very practical. We place a lot of emphasis on those worksheets that you have to fill. Because of what use is it to store all this knowledge and all these things I'm talking about, and then you walk out of this place and you don't implement? Because wealth is created by taking action, not by sitting down and listening to seminars and lectures. Like somebody said that one movement is worth more than 1,000 meditations. That's another thing to type in the comment section. So I want to encourage you to enroll tonight, this moment, or whenever you're watching this, whatever times when you're watching this on YouTube. Enroll in the Financial Fitness Challenge. The details are going to be given you. You'll find the details in the description, and then you will also find it in a pinned comment. How to take part of it, how to take part in it. The Financial Fitness Challenge is 125,000 naira, which is 125 US dollars if you're paying in dollars. But right now there's an early bird of 105. That is a whopping 20K off. Now, so to enroll, just contact me. You can DM me or use the number, the WhatsApp number in the description, and then get to me and say, I want to enroll. And then we'll give you all the payment details and all that. And then you join the group. We have already started, so don't waste time. Okay, so let's talk about the 3-step process to determining where to invest your money. Step number 1, please start with safe. I would even call it start with safe and boring investments. Build your base. The step number 1 is to build your base, because you can't become rich if you lose your money. You don't get rich overnight. Okay, you get rich first of all by not losing your money. Because if you put it in very, very volatile investments and aggressive investments, and then you lose everything, you get discouraged. Many of us, it happened to many of us, we put so much money in one particular investment. Some people put so much money in IPO during the season of IPOs, and some of those companies died, and then people lost millions. So start, with a safe, with a boring investment. What are examples of boring investments? Like if you live in the US, in the UK, of course, you're familiar with the S&P 500. And of course, you can get into it with apps like Vanguard and then eToro, which are not available to people in Africa, to the best of my knowledge. So if you're in Nigeria or in Zambia or in Guinea or any of these places, you can start with mutual funds. You can start with mutual funds. There's in Nigeria, the Stanbic IBTC is a great one. That's actually what I started investing in about 2004. I started investing in Stanbic IBTC in 2004. So there's also ARM Money Market Fund. And right now, there are also dollar-denominated fixed deposits you can invest in. So the step number 1 is build your base. Start with safe, boring investments. Just start with that one. And then the reason I also encourage you to start with such is that you can use it not only to build your base, but also to build your understanding. Because the most important, the most critical investment, first of all, is investment in your mind. Because if you do not understand what you are investing in, you are guaranteed to lose your money. So, but if you start with a safe base, You can be learning, reading, becoming a part of the Financial Fitness Challenge and similar networks that can help you to build your understanding. And then it is your understanding that will make you money. So what I tell my clients and people in the Financial Fitness Challenge group, I say to them, what makes you money is not the market. What makes you money is the knowledge of the market. This is why one person gets into the stock market and makes billions. Another person gets into the stock market and loses billions and millions. Why? The difference is their knowledge of what they are doing. Okay, step number 2. Then you can start gradually. Step number 2, to add one high growth asset. So if you start with something like index fund or mutual fund, money market fund, if you start with something like that, you can now add high growth asset. Some examples would be, if you're in the US and the UK, some tech stocks like Apple and Tesla. For me, the kind of investor I am, I don't even care what's going on with Tesla right now. I would buy Tesla right now. I would buy Tesla right now. It's actually, it has very solid fundamentals. So it's part of what they are doing with Elon Musk and Doge and all those reactions. In Nigeria, you can do Dangote, you can do GT Bank. GT Bank has done so well for me. It's one of my oldest stocks. Same thing with First Bank. I've had First Bank stocks that I haven't sold since 2000, like mid-2000. And it's done well. So some of the First Bank stock I bought for myself and then for my children were bought at like 6 naira or something like that. Okay. And then there was a time First Bank actually went like 70 something. There was a year it went 70 something. But lots of things have happened, dilutions and all that. So I think it's probably in the 30s right now. Okay. So add one high growth asset, like a tech asset. Now, there's a rule here, and I would like you to type it in the comment section. Only risk what you can afford to lose. So maybe you can say, like, if your portfolio in your base is like 10 million, so you might want to start with 5 to 10%. In fact, so people have different risk appetites and risk profiles. I'm a high risk person. I go all in, but there are people who would invest and they will never sleep. They won't sleep. They'll be waking up every 1 hour to watch the investment. So if you're that kind of a person, yeah, don't put a lot there. So just make sure anytime you're investing, make sure you're investing what you can afford to lose. Step number 3, get global exposure. That is to protect yourself against local risks. The local risk, especially if you're in Africa, is high. Nigerian economy is extremely volatile. The inflation, the devaluation is just so unpredictable. In fact, I read somewhere that is probably the most unpredictable currency in the world today. All right. So it's important to protect against such local risks. For those of you who live in Europe, or UK, USA, Canada, you're already global. All right. So that your own case might be to diversify into something like, real estate now, or gold, commodities. But if you're in Africa or you're in Nigeria, you must own dollar assets. Before I really wasn't keen on dollar assets, but I'm telling you, if in 2025 you do not have dollar assets, you are falling behind. Everybody type dollar asset. Dollar asset. During the Financial Fitness Challenge, one of the things that we talk about is everyday money. And then we talk about how do you set up your affairs. Because if you spend money every day, then it makes sense that you should earn money every day. Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Have you thought about that? You spend money every day. So every day, there are how many debits? 7 debits, 10 debits, 15 debits. No credit. And then you have credit just once in the month. That is terrible for cash flow. And you might say, oh, but that one credit covers all the debits. But that's a problem, because cash is not cash flow. They are two different things. You are better off with cash flow. You're better off earning 5,000 naira every day, even 3,000 naira every day, than at the end of the month you earn 500,000. It's amazing, but we don't have the time tonight to unpack the math. But I'm saying every month you should earn something in your local currency. In Guinea, your local currency; in Zambia, local currency; in Kenya, local currency; in all, wherever you are, in Africa. But also earn something in dollars, in foreign currency, dollars, or maybe euros. Earn something, okay? Because that's the way you can protect yourself against the local risks. So if the naira crashes again, your dollar investments will save you. So there have been times that dollars literally saved me. There was a time we were doing a project once, and cement was going for 4,800, just about 5,000 naira. All of a sudden, overnight, cement went from 5,000 to 13,000. How many of you remember that? Cement went from like 5,000 naira in the middle of my project to 13,000. So if you do not have dollar assets, how in the world are you going to compensate for such variation, such insane variation? And so many people have never recovered from that terrible devaluation that happened at that time. Many people still haven't recovered. So your strategy should include some kind of dollarization of your asset. Okay? And there are many ways to do that, and we'll be talking about it during the Financial Fitness Challenge. It's not as difficult as it sounds. It's only difficult because you don't know about it. And during the Financial Fitness Challenge, we're going to talk about how to earn money in dollars. You should. I'm telling you, my strategy, it helps me a lot. And so if your money lives in one country, it dies with that economy. So spread your wings. All right? Spread your wings. Okay. So now, what is the call to action? What are you going to do with this? Everything that I've taught you tonight. Has it been valuable, by the way? Have you found value? Type value in the comment section if this has been very, very eye-opening for you. And then start typing your aha moments in the comment section. So I would like to find out what were really aha. What was life-changing? What made your day listening to this? What is one thing you are taking out of this place that's going to change the way you look at money, change your behavior, toward your money? Type it in the comment section. I would like to read it. Now, why must you take action? Because the best investment you will ever make is the one that you start today. Somebody can also type it. Because when it comes to investments, there's no, let's wait for the perfect moment or perfect time or the perfect thing. The best investment you will ever make is the one you start today. Delay is the enemy of compounding. Delay is the enemy of compounding. Do you know if you and I have $10,000 today, and then you invest your own tomorrow, and I invest my own 1 week later on the same asset, let's say a mutual fund or something, do you know that our returns are going to be very different? You may not see it because it's just 1 week apart. But by the time you put it together for 10 years, 20 years, you will be shocked what 7-day delay meant to your future. You will be shocked what delaying for 1 month, delaying for 24 hours. It might not look like anything, but by the time you do the math, in 5-10 years, the delay you are delaying for the next 2 hours will be a lot. So take action. Join the Financial Fitness Challenge, okay? And get the worksheets and things that you can use to get started. But what the homework I want to give you today, very, very practical. Open one investment account. So for those of you who are beginners and you don't have an investment account, are you kidding me? Don't sleep tonight until you have opened an investment account. Whoa! How can you be 18 and not have an investment account? We made that mistake ourselves when we turned 18 because nobody knew. Nobody told us. All through my time in school, nobody ever taught me this since I'm telling you. Okay? So open one investment account. So in Nigeria, US, Guinea, wherever you are, all right, then allocate your money using the 3-step system I've taught you. So you can go back to this video, go back to the replay on YouTube and listen again and again to the 3-step system. All right, so you can put your safe, that's your safe base. You can put like 70% into the safe base. You can put your growth 20%, and then you can do 10% for global. That's the dollarization, the dollar assets. And then please avoid scams. If it sounds too good to be true, it truly is. So be very careful about people who tell you, oh, put in this 1 million here, and then every month we'll be giving you 500,000 or 2 million. Please be very, very careful. Avoid all those scams, because you don't make money. We don't get wealthy by getting rich too quick, trying to get rich too quick. Okay? So finally, money masters don't chase luck. They build systems. So you go and start planning your system and building it. And remember, the financial fitness challenge, the how to enroll will be in the description. It will also be in the pinned comment. And I'm hoping to see you there. So I hope you've got some fantastic value tonight. So whatever happens, keep showing up, because you have no idea what's coming your way next. And I'm going to see you with another explosive episode, same time tomorrow. Good night.